Hey, Alabama. Ty Simpson ready to play against Georgia after heavy hits against Auburn. Is it a big mistake to like hits like this guy? Is everything ready for him to be Alabama's man? Let's see the news. Ty Simpson arrives at SEC Championship Week in one of those moments that change the perception of a program. And in Alabama's case, reinforces the notion that the Crimson Tide always finds strength precisely when the scenario demands the most. After a grueling victory in the Iron Bowl, in which he suffered 24 pressures and was sacked 3 times, the quarterback not only appeared firm in the championship teleconference, he appeared with the posture of someone who understands the size of the jersey he wears and the size of the opportunity he has before him. Simpson was seen receiving treatment on the sidelines, something that, in December, doesn't surprise any player accustomed to the rigors of the SEC. But his laugh-filled response when asked about the hits showed a rare balance between lightheartedness and competitiveness. "I love taking hits, he said, embracing the pain as an inevitable part of the journey. And more than that, as part of the identity Alabama seeks to maintain under Kalen DeBoer, a team that doesn't back down from anything." Simpson made a point of emphasizing that he feels great, blessed, and, above all, ready to play. And the truth is, Alabama needs exactly that spirit right now. His performance in the Iron Bowl, while far from perfect, showed composure in a hostile environment. He completed 19 of 35 passes, 3 touchdowns, and 122 passing yards. Numbers that, added to his 31 rushing yards at key moments, show a quarterback who knows how to survive pressure and find solutions even when nothing is easy. Auburn did everything possible to throw him off balance, but couldn't take him out of the game. And in Alabama, that matters as much as any statistic. But the central point this week isn't the Iron Bowl. It's what Simpson has already proven he's capable of doing against Georgia itself. In September, in the 24-21 victory, he threw for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns, playing with personality against one of the most disciplined defenses in the country. That recent history carries weight. It gives Alabama confidence. And for a team that reinvented itself under DeBoer, that collective memory is worth more than any external talk. Kalen DeBoer, since arriving, has insisted on rebuilding Alabama's competitive identity without losing the essence that made the program so dominant over the years. Simpson's behavior, even injured, aligning with the discourse of opportunity, gratitude, and total commitment, precisely reflects this culture. He didn't shy away from the hits, the wear and tear, or the responsibility. On the contrary, he embraced it all with the maturity Alabama needs to face another tough decision. Now, the SEC Championship game pits Alabama against Georgia at 3 p.m. this Saturday, a stage already familiar with drama, intensity, and great comebacks. This time, however, the Crimson Tide arrives with a quarterback who has already felt the pressure, faced this defense, and shown he can lead the team in moments of absolute tension. The feeling within the program, and among those who follow closely, is that Simpson is not only physically ready, he is emotionally ready, competitively ready, and ready to shoulder the responsibility of being the guy for Alabama when it matters most. And if there's one thing that has always defined the Crimson Tide, it's this. When a player wears that jersey and declares he's ready, he usually is. And generally, the rest of the SEC finds out the hard way. Last Saturday, Bryant-Denny Stadium was the stage for another epic chapter of the Iron Bowl, and the Alabama Crimson Tide showed, once again, why they remain a force to be reckoned with in college football. In a rivalry steeped in emotion and history, the team led by Coach Kalen DeBoer secured a strategic and thrilling 27-20 victory over the Auburn Tigers. However, if there's one thing that truly deserves highlighting in this game, it's the impressive performance of Bray Hubard, the junior safety who has been one of the defensive pillars of this team. The SEC Conference announced Monday morning that Hubard was named Co-Defensive Player of the Week, an honor already familiar to him, considering he had already received the same award after Alabama's victory against Wisconsin earlier in the season. With this, the Crimson Tide now accumulates 10 weekly awards within the league this year, a clear reflection of the individual and collective talent that Kalen DeBoer has managed to mold into his team. But let's get to the details that make Hubard's performance in the Iron Bowl so special. While many players can go an entire game without drawing attention, Hubard was the one who showed up at crucial moments, demonstrating a sense of opportunity worthy of the biggest names in the sport. At the end of the third quarter, when the Tigers were pressing for a possible tie, Hubard intercepted a pass that could have completely changed the dynamics of the game. This play not only contained Auburn's momentum, but also injected confidence into Alabama's offense, allowing them to maintain control of the scoreboard. And Hubard didn't stop there. When the clock was about to expire and Auburn was desperately trying one last drive, he stepped in again. With less than 40 seconds left in regulation time, the safety forced a fumble that practically sealed the game's fate. It was a surgical intervention, precise and decisive, the kind of moment that defines careers and writes legacies. Furthermore, Hubard added 2 individual interceptions, solidifying his presence as an insurmountable wall for the opposing offense. These plays, while isolated in terms of statistics, have a much greater impact when we analyze the overall context of the game. The Iron Bowl is never just a game. It's an emotional, physical, and mental battle that tests how far a team can go under pressure. And Hubard, with his ability to read the game and his composure in critical moments, proved why he is a fundamental piece in this process of rebuilding and consolidating Alabama as one of the top programs in the country. It's important to highlight here the work of Kalen DeBoer, who since his arrival at the program has sought to redefine the identity of the Crimson Tide. After years of absolute dominance under Nick Saban, the challenge of maintaining that level of excellence was enormous. However, DeBoer has shown that his balanced approach, combining tactical discipline with creative freedom, is beginning to bear fruit. Players like Hubard are clear examples of this philosophy. Young talents who are growing under pressure and assuming leadership roles in decisive moments. Furthermore, the victory over Auburn wasn't just important for the trophy or the historic rivalry. It symbolizes something bigger for this group: resilience. Throughout the season, Alabama faced highs and lows, external questioning and internal doubts. But games like this show that the team is finding its identity little by little. The defense, led by Hubard, has been the engine of this evolution, offering consistency and confidence to the offense so that it can perform its role without so many worries. For Crimson Tide fans, seeing a player like Bray Hubard receive recognition is a source of pride, but also of expectation. He is only a junior, which means he still has a lot to offer the program. His ability to read the game, anticipate opposing plays, and execute with precision is rare, and his development will be crucial for Alabama's future ambitions. In a sport where the difference between victory and defeat often comes down to minute details, having someone like Hubard in the backline is a luxury few teams can afford. As Alabama continues its journey this season, it's clear the team is building something special. It's not just about wins or losses, but about the process of growth and adaptation. Kalen DeBoer is creating an environment where players can thrive, and Bray Hubard is living proof of that. When we look to the future, it's impossible not to feel optimistic. This is a team that is learning to deal with adversity, to celebrate its successes, and above all, to honor the tradition of excellence that has always defined Alabama football. Kalen DeBoer's speech after the victory over Auburn sums up much of what this Alabama team represents in 2025, a resilient, competitive team that refuses to accept pre-packaged narratives. When questioned about the possibility, absurd to him, of the Crimson Tide missing the college football playoffs because of a stumble in the SEC championship game, the coach didn't hide his perplexity. And, in fact, looking at Alabama's journey, it's difficult to imagine a scenario where this team isn't considered among the best in the country. "That would baffle me," said DeBoer, visibly firm in his conviction. And that conviction is supported by the numbers. 10 wins, 2 losses, a 7-1 record in the SEC, consecutive wins against ranked teams, and another classic victory away from home. It's a solid record, built week after week amidst one of the toughest schedules in the country. DeBoer knows this, his players know this, and, judging by the tone of his words, he seems to believe the committee knows it too. The 27-20 victory in Auburn, always an emotional, physical, and tense battle, secured Alabama's spot in the SEC championship game against Georgia in Atlanta. And even ranked only 10th in recent weeks, the Tide remains well-positioned for a jump, provided they do their part. Asked if the Iron Bowl win should be enough to qualify Alabama for the CFP, DeBoer didn't hesitate. "Absolutely," he stated. He emphasized that this team showed character from the start, overcame criticism, adjusted course after the opening loss against Florida State, and grew at the right moment in the season. The mention of Week 1 is not random. DeBoer knows that stumble created a heavy narrative capable of putting pressure on a group that was still searching for its identity. But over the weeks, Alabama began to play faster, more aggressively, and with greater precision. Players who had been questioned at the beginning of the season began to raise their level, and the team, as a whole, made a physical and mental leap in the final third of the campaign. According to DeBoer, this is no accident. It is the result of focus, discipline, and the culture he works daily to shape in Tuscaloosa. The debate about the impact of conference championship games gains strength every year. While winning the SEC will always carry immense weight, some argue that playing in this game can become a risk, since other teams guaranteed a spot in the CFP don't need to face another physical and strategic battle. DeBoer doesn't seem willing to buy into this argument, and neither does his team. For players like linebacker Deontay Lawson, the situation is clear. Facing Georgia is an opportunity, not a burden. "It's a great opportunity to be the best team in the best conference," said Lawson, perfectly summarizing the competitive spirit of this Alabama team. The Crimson Tide arrives at the SEC championship game with a combination that few can muster: a strong track record, evident improvement, and a coach who deeply believes in the team. DeBoer makes it clear that if the season's performance isn't enough to place Alabama among the top 4 teams in the country, something is wrong with the evaluation process. And for a program accustomed to operating at that level, that confidence is as important as any statistical data. Alabama arrives in Atlanta not just seeking a title. They arrive seeking respect, recognition, and, above all, the spot they believe they deserve. What's your opinion?